Hey guys, welcome to M Plants. Today I want to cover about one of my most favorite plants, and I would say my favorite plant, fern, but specifically Boston fern. And ferns for me are like my first preference. There is no other plant I love as much as ferns. So I like to take care of them. A lot of people think that they are very fussy, they are very dramatic, they are very demanding, and it's very difficult for us to take care of ferns. However, I don't feel that way. I feel if we give them the correct environmental conditions, which is not very difficult to create, they are one of those plants that will just make you happy when you have a look at them. So if you look at my Boston fern, first things first, I'll share a story. I bought it from an old lady. She was selling plants from her backyard, and I literally bought like one small stick of Boston fern for I think $5. So I did not invest a lot of money in buying a Boston fern. And look at the health of my plant today. And this is a very slow growth, I would say, because my plant is in a pot. If I plant the same Boston fern straight away in the ground, the growth rate just will become 10 times faster. Because it's in pot, it's a little slower, but still I'm happy because of the way it looks, the lush green color on it, and that just makes me happy. Now, I want to divide this video into two parts because you can have ferns inside your house and outside your house, both as an indoor plant as an outdoor plant. So let us first understand what to do if you want to use ferns as an indoor plant. The reason we can use them as indoor plant is because ferns do not need direct sunlight. I'm specifically talking about Boston fern right now, no other ferns, because every other fern has a different variety. Maidenhair fern is a bit more fussy, so let's just focus on Boston fern for this video. So Boston fern, it does not need direct sunlight. That's the reason you can use it as an indoor plant. Now, I have used my fern as an outdoor plant, and I prefer using ferns as an outdoor plant after having experience of few years. I feel that ferns, they grow very fast when they are outdoors, and they grow very slow when they are indoors, but they still don't die. So if you don't want a very speedy growth, you can still keep them inside your house. Now, when you keep them inside your house, you have to make sure that you keep them in a very humid place, because ferns, they like humidity a lot. They need very, very high humidity. So you can keep them in bathroom. If you don't keep them in bathroom, then you can prefer regular misting on your ferns, or give it a humidity tray, or keep it near a humidifier. These are a few options that you can use to create that humid atmosphere for your ferns. Now, humidity is taken care, especially when it's inside the house, because as I've shared in many other videos, that if it's winter, you might use heaters, you might be using air conditioners when it's summer and we cook. So inside the house, it's a lot more dry compared to what it's outside. So humidity has to be taken care when your plants are inside the house, when your Boston fern is inside the house. Also, when I say it does not need direct sunlight, and if it's just because it's a fern, it doesn't mean that you keep it in a dark, gloomy place where it's not getting light. It still loves its light, indirect light, but the full day it needs that indirect light to maintain that green color on it, to grow healthily and happily. So please make sure your fern is getting a lot of light, indirect light, if it's kept inside the house. Now let's switch to if you are using ferns as an outdoor plant. Now, if you have space and you can plant your plant straight inside the ground, I would prefer doing it, especially if you like Boston fern and if you plant it in the ground, that's a great deal. But please prefer doing it under a tree or under a very big plant, so that the fern is planted in the shade of that tree or plant, and it does not get direct sunlight, and it gets that filtered light, filtered air, and that will keep your fern happy. If you are planting it in pot, that is also not bad. I have planted it in pot. It will be a little slow growth compared to what it's in ground, but again, you have to make sure that if it's outdoors, it does not get direct sun. Especially in summers, it should not get direct sun even for a minute. Winters, if it's getting morning sun, it's okay, but prefer not giving it direct sun. But you have to make sure that full day it is getting that bright light, so that it just grows wild. Now let us come down to the common points. No matter your fern is outdoor or indoor, these points are common, and that is number one is soil. Soil for ferns should not be extremely well drained. Yes, if you are planting it in pot, make sure your pot has holes so that the water can drain out, otherwise there will be root rotting. But don't make it as loose and as well drained as any other plant like succulents, because succulents, they don't need water at all, but ferns, they do need that humid place around their roots. So I would mix a lot of organic compost so that the soil is not very rich, but it's okay, it's not very well drained as well. So what I can do is 50% garden soil and remaining 50% you can add compost, organic compost, so that your fern gets that healthy, it gets nutrients to be healthy, and it also gets normal soil, not extremely well drained and not extremely clayey soil. All right. Now after that, coming towards fertilizing your fern, Boston fern. Boston fern, it does not need a lot of fertilizer. So in that way, it's not demanding. I fertilize my Boston fern only twice a year. First time I give it solid fertilizer, which I did last week at the beginning of spring. Now in Australia, I would say September is the time when spring starts. It is supposed to start. It has not started yet because it's still chilly. But still, I would say September is the best time in Australia. If you are in any other country, whenever it starts getting warmer, winter ends, that's the first time you should give solid fertilizer like compost and bone meal powder to your ferns. Next, what you can do is 3 months after that, you can give it liquid fertilizer like seaweed fertilizer when you water your fern. That's it. That's what I do. And I do not fertilize for more than twice a year. My fern doesn't need it. If you over fertilize your Boston fern, it may burn out. It may have those brown leaves. If your fern is having yellow leaves, brown leaves, it can be due to several reasons. The most common reason is lack of humidity. You need to give it a lot of humidity, or lack of nutrients. But if you are adding fertilizer twice a year, that's way more than required nutrient. Next thing I want to cover is watering. Watering is very important for your Boston fern because you cannot keep it dry. If you keep it dry, if you keep the soil absolutely dry and do not water it, your fern will start to die. It will start to have brown leaves, and then eventually it will start dying. What I normally do is, whenever I feel like watering and I feel that my ferns is supposed to be watered, first things first, I check the soil. If the soil is wet, definitely I'm not watering it. If the soil is moist, I have to have that feeling by touching the soil that is it towards dry part? Is it like very, can you feel that dryness in the soil? Then you have to water it. If it's like extremely moist and the soil is sticking on your finger, then you don't need to water it, because you know that if the soil is sticking on your finger, that means there is a lot of moisture in it, a lot of water content in it, and hence you don't need to water it. But don't wait for the soil to be absolutely dry and very powdery and then water, because your ferns, they don't like very dry soil. So there is a very thin line here, but it's still not that hard to maintain, I would say. Now we've covered humidity, we've covered light, we've covered watering, fertilizing, soil requirements, everything, and this is what you need to take care. Like any other plant, Boston fern is no different, but I just love Boston fern. I feel it's one of those ferns which is not that fussy compared to many other fern varieties out there. But one problem with Boston fern is that this plant gets very easy attack of mealybugs and spider mites. Especially mealybugs is what my experience says. I have seen mealybugs. I don't know why they like Boston fern so much, maybe because of humidity or something. They just come every now and then. At least once a year I see mealybugs on my Boston fern. But the good thing is, I don't need to spend any money to get rid of mealybugs from my Boston fern. What I normally do is, this is what I've done today, because I could see a few mealybugs on my Boston fern. So I was like, let us do this treatment and also share with you guys. So I have taken eucalyptus flavor dishwashing liquid, the normal dishwash liquid that is available in grocery stores, but this is eucalyptus flavor because it has that medicinal smell. And I've added a little bit of hand sanitizer. I would say 2 to 3 drops of hand sanitizer because it has isopropyl alcohol, which is good to kill these mites. And I have added warm water in it, not cold, not hot, warm water in it. Now it is obviously this foam that you see, it's all because of that soap. Now I'll put in this very delicate cloth, not very hard cloth. After I have that solution, I'll just wipe it easily on my plant. I'll just wipe it because Boston fern, it's very easy to wipe. You can just simply wipe your plant like this. And whatever the old leaves are, they will just fall, which is perfectly fine. Now, obviously, I just have one pot of Boston fern, so it's very easy for me to wipe it like this. If you have a lot of Boston fern, if you have a very big plant, bigger than this, or a lot of plants in ground, technically speaking, it's very difficult to wipe every single leaf. Then what you can do is the same solution, you can spray it on your plant. That's what you can do. But spraying is as good as wiping it. And also, if you have planted your plant in pots and you're keeping it inside, if it's raining, try and expose your plant towards rain. I mean, let it have that rainwater, let it get cleaned, because rainwater is very rich in nutrients and your plant will love it. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you have Boston fern, take care of it. If you don't have Boston fern, please do get it in your life. You'll be very happy with this lush green color. And I wish you all the best for your gardening. Do gardening a lot. It will keep you happy. And with that, I'll see you next time with another content, another video. If you want to know any specific thing about gardening, about plants, you can always put it in the comment section below. I'm more than happy to address those issues or those content values in my videos so that your concerns can be answered. And with that, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.